What's up, Trainiacs? Welcome to this week's Triathlon Newsday Tuesday, where a fitness celebrity announces that she is going to attempt to complete 50 Ironmans in 50-ish states in 50 days. One of USA's absolute best goes back-to-back in USA Nationals for the age groupers, and Alistair Brownlee did not win. Welcome, triathletes, to Triathlon Newsday Tuesday, where every single Tuesday we very seriously, as you can tell, talk about all the news going on in the triathlon world from the previous week. Make sure you stick around till the end of the video, where, as always, we share everyone's favorite part of Triathlon Newsday Tuesday. That is a story from the Trainiac community, and as always, links to everything I talk about will be in the description below. Let's start it off with fitness celebrity Ashley Horner, who has a massive following online, and announced that she would be attempting something very similar to what we heard about several years ago from the Iron Cowboy. She'll be doing 50 Ironmans in 48 states, however, starting and finishing in Haiti, so 50 Ironmans in 50 places in 50 days. Now, this did not come with a lot of criticism here, because Ashley Horner, unlike the Iron Cowboy, did not come into this with a lot of experience in triathlon. She's done a handful of triathlons, one half Ironman distance race, and the world slammed her for this, saying that she doesn't know what she's getting herself into, and I might agree. Now, she has done several really long multi-day running races. She did multi-day cycling events, but nothing to the extent of the pounding that an Ironman takes on you day after day after day, in addition to all the travel. So think of it this way. If she's going for 14 to 16 hours every single day and traveling for somewhere around 5 to 7, that cumulative effect is going to be tough. I think the Iron Cowboy was able to do it because he was himself somewhere around a 10-hour Ironman athlete, and Ashley Horner is not. Now, it's not to say that this is an entirely frivolous event. Horner is actually trying to raise about $100,000, hashtag Women of Iron, for the Maison Fortune Orphanage, which goes to supporting underprivileged and uneducated orphans and children in Haiti. So, frankly, I hope that she proves me wrong, but she's got quite the task ahead of her. In USA Age Group Nationals, Justin Lippert slapped on a Speedo and dropped it like it was hot, winning back-to-back Olympic and sprint triathlon titles. He won the Olympic distance title with a time of 1:56.08, and then he won the sprint title, which was actually a duathlon because of strong currents in Lake Erie, canceled the swim, so they turned it into a run-bike-run, which he still won in 44:33. He was pumped. Now, the women's Olympic and sprint distance races respectively were won by Gabrielle Bunton and Emma Serino. Congratulations to our new USA Amateur champions. The European Professional Triathlon Championships were held over the weekend as well, with Pierre Lecour winning, beating Alistair Brownlee, who didn't even make it on the podium, finishing 4th. Now, what is this going to mean with him heading into half Ironman distance worlds? As I've always said, with Alistair, he might be the best one-day racer in the world, perhaps ever, but he's very injury prone, and can he step up to that full distance race and still stay healthy? We don't know. On the women's side, 2012 Olympic gold medalist and the second oldest woman in the field, Nicholas Spirig, won and showed the world that you don't have to be young. You can be very seasoned. Young at heart, thank you. In Ironman racing, it was a very quiet week on the calendar. There was only one race, being half Ironman Steelhead out there, which was won by Eric Lagerstrom in 3:48.02, which is pretty impressive because if you follow Eric's YouTube channel, he's been running a lot on an anti-gravity treadmill and really hasn't done a ton of just outright running because of an injury that he's been dealing with. The women's side of that race was won by Sarah Haskins in just a couple of minutes gap between her and second place, and she finished in 4:16.19. Now, as far as the Triathlon Taren podcast go, it is still the #1 triathlon podcast in the world on iTunes. Thank you, everyone. And that has a lot to do with an amazing guest that we just published the interview with, Ben Hoffman, USA's probably best hope in Kona this year. And frankly, NTK was editing the podcast and she went, I think this is one of our best interviews yet. Ben was great. Go check it out wherever you get your podcasts. Now, on to the Trainiac story of the week, and it comes from a man that says, "Hi Taren, my name is Mark Whitney, and I live in Hadley, Essex, England. I've always been into sports in one way or another, but up until recently, I've also been on the large side. I'm 57 now, and I've always struggled with an addictive personality, which led me to alcohol when I was younger. I managed to conquer that back in 1999, but to compensate, I started eating a lot more. While watching the 2012 Olympics, I just so happened to live about a half mile from the Olympic mountain bike course, I decided enough was enough and I needed to change if I was going to see my family grow. At the time, I weighed 273 pounds, 123 kilograms, and I'm only 5'10". I started training once a week with a personal trainer and eating more natural foods. The weight immediately started to drop off. On Boxing Day every year, a group from the gym would go out for a morning run, so I decided to go along once. By this time, I'd probably lost around 30 pounds, but it was still very hard. Still, I was hooked and I started running more and more, which is where my addictive personality took over again, entering race after race, building up my confidence. By the end of 2013, I'd lost 86 pounds and felt great. In 2014, I did my first marathon, both hated and loved it, but I wanted another challenge and started thinking about triathlon. I've always enjoyed cycling, but I had to sample open water swimming, and my first experience was in the London docks, which was scary as you can't see your hand at the bottom of a stroke. The trouble was I had no choice but to get used to it because I'd already entered myself into the London Olympic Triathlon. I loved it. It was a wonderful experience and great therapy, which is part of the reason why I do this. I did another Olympic at Iton Dorney last year. I competed in a local sprint event in June, and on July 1st this year, I competed in the Hokum Half Ironman distance race, where I actually saw somebody in a complete Trainiac kit, but unfortunately, I hadn't done the miles myself on the bike and my back was a mess for the run. However, with a lot of encouragement from the marshals and my wife Julie, I managed to finish. So it's such a wonderful sport and community with people like yourself. It has given me a new lease on life. Please keep doing what you're doing. I will totally keep doing what I'm doing as long as you keep doing what you're doing. I wanted to share Mark's story here because something that he said was he had already entered into a race that he was afraid of. And remember, I've said this before a bunch of times, that something you can do to motivate yourself is enter a race and commit to something and tell your friends about something that you're just a little bit afraid of, and that little bit of fear is going to motivate you to get out and do more. And as we can see from Mark, it worked. So congratulations, Mark, on your weight loss, on getting into triathlon. And if anyone else wants to get their story shared here on Triathlon Newsday Tuesday, email me at Taren@triathlontaren.com. And if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button below. And if you are already subscribed, I'm just as excited about that as Justin Lippert was to go back to back. What's up?